A lot of people are finding it really hard right now. Things have changed. We need to adjust to our new normal. Our new normal does not mean give up. Our new normal means push forward. Do not play small, but also do not play surface level. As a female online business owner with dreams of more income, more impact, and more freedom, you know there's more potential in your business waiting to be unlocked. But figuring out how to shape and transform your biz and get seen, loved, selling, and scaling can feel like, well, a mystery. So how do you cut through the noise, create offers that deeply resonate, sell and scale without you always being on, all while creating a life you love? That is exactly what this show is about. Welcome to Seen, Loved, Selling, Scale. I'm Corinda, your small biz marketing sidekick, digital offer strategist, and online biz bestie. With tens of thousands of digital offers sold, tens of thousands of people helped, and millions of dollars in revenue generated in my own business as a small business owner. And through this podcast, I am here to share it all. You'll gain clear, actionable insights, strategies, and shortcuts to master your online marketing, build scalable online offers, and create a business model that works for you as much as it works for your people, so you can grow your income, amplify your impact, and free up more of your time. Let's get started. Hello and a massive welcome to you. Welcome back to the Seen, Loved, Selling, Scale show, where I am welcoming myself back to my desk today after 3 weeks in the United States. And I was over there with one main purpose, and that was to head to Social Media Marketing World. Now, for those of you who do not know, Social Media Marketing World is arguably the biggest and the best social media marketing conference on the planet. And I have been there for the last 3 years running now. And it is just absolutely incredible. But don't let the name fool you, because while social media is definitely covered at the Social Media Marketing World Conference, it is actually marketing as a whole. And heading over there is one of the many ways that I make sure I stay on the absolute top of my game, getting to interact and hear all of my peers share all of their insights in the marketing industry for what is working for them right now across ads, across emails, across website, across copywriting, across consumer psychology, across sales, across social media. And so today, what I am doing is I am bringing you some of the most really profound insights from this conference. Now, again, full disclaimer, this conference is 3 days. Amazing sessions, jam-packed schedule. And so while I cannot be sharing it all in this one episode, you can be sure that if you're in any spaces with me, if you're working with me, if you're using my resources, if you're listening to me, I will be sharing even more of these insights over time as well, letting you know who they're from, what they had to say, and how to apply them to your business, or if I have applied them to mine as well. But in today's episode, I am really going to give you some of the main takeaways that were either really overarching themes of the entire conference that you really need to hear. And there's quite a few of those. And then I'm also going to bring you some magic micro moments that I think are just so important coming from some of these amazing experts. So without further ado, let us dive in. So, one of the biggest takeaways from Social Media Marketing World was absolutely about social media. Remembering social media is one part of our marketing and definitely one thing I teach and preach here at This Is Co. But it is, of course, an important part and a part that we pour a lot of energy into. We hold a lot of hope that it is going to work for good reason. We want our businesses to succeed. And there was some really amazing takeaways from Social Media Marketing World. And that is that reach and engagement and the changes there and the focus there was really on the cards for everybody in different ways. And what I mean by that is a lot what we spoke about in the previous episode just recently about the drop of engagement on Instagram, for example, where things have changed on the platform. But every single one of these marketers came to Social Media Marketing World saying, we are staying strong. We still see results on the platform, even if the reach, even if the engagement isn't what it used to look like. This is our new normal. And who knows, potentially in the future, algorithms can shift again and maybe we will see a spike in that reach, in that engagement. Who knows what the future holds? But right now, this is our new normal, and there are still so many opportunities on the platform when we shift our mindset. And you're going to hear a lot about this actually all throughout this episode. But I want to start off with 3 really distinct quotes that I took from social media marketing world. So the first quote was from Nikki Saunders, who is a keynote speaker. And Nikki is amazing. I've had the privilege of seeing her the last 3 years, and you can look her up. I'll put her in the show notes. Head over and follow her Instagram as well. She does amazing, amazing, amazing stuff all across marketing, but specifically in AI. And she's like one of the people I look to see what's working in AI right now. But Nikki also is just absolutely a gun when it comes to social media platforms. And she gave us a takeaway, which was really, really, really fantastic. And she literally said, because this is real talk, right? This is real people really working in the industry, really knowing their stuff. And her quote was, "The views are trash, the reach is trash, but there are people out there that still need you. This is not a season of inconsistency. This is a season we show out and show up." And I absolutely loved this because the real talk is that things do look different online. We know it. We've spoken about it, but the buyers are still there. And this was a really big takeaway from that episode back about Instagram engagement, if you haven't gone and listened to that. But we have seen a drop in engagement. We have seen a drop in reach, a drop in views, but buyers are still there. They are still buying. They are still on the platform. They still have problems that need to be solved, and you have solutions that can solve them. And as Nikki said, we still need to show out and show up. And she really followed this up with some really good points about there are results to be had right now as well, obviously. But also, if and when the Instagram platform does bounce back, you want to be the one on there that knows what's working, that showed up consistently, that has the algorithms favored, that has, a consistent audience on there, and you can grow from that foundation rather than the platform turning around and you needing to build that foundation on there again. So there was a lot to be said with that quote from Nikki, and I really, really, really loved her honesty. And there was an amazing quote as well from Rory Vaden. Now, Rory Vaden is a personal brand strategist, and we're going to hear a lot from him today because personal branding, spoiler alert, is one of the things we're going to talk about because it was all throughout the conference. But he's the personal brand strategist to some of the biggest names that you might know, people like Amy Porterfield, Lewis Howes, like the list goes on with the people that he had worked with. But he had a really profound quote as well and a take that said, "You don't need millions of followers to make millions of dollars. Too many people are asking how to get more views on their videos. But if you just focused on getting 24 more people converting, you might double or triple your income." And then this is the one that really, 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 really hit home that I wanted to share, where he said, "Everyone is so focused on the width of their reach, they are vastly overlooking the depth of their impact." I want to say that again. Everyone is so focused on the width of their reach that they are vastly overlooking the depth of their impact. And I cannot agree with this enough. And, I preach and teach this 24/7, but we do want to have a strategy that gets us intentionally seen. But then we need to be getting loved and we need to be getting selling. And these are content types, particularly on Instagram, which we're talking about right now, that aren't necessarily always going to get the most engagement, the most reach. There are different types of things that we want to be sharing in the customer journey, in consumer psychology, in those areas of our business, of our branding, of our content, of our strategy that might be just aimed at moving our warmest audience to take an action and not necessarily meant to be growing 10,000 followers, right? And I work with a lot of business owners that come to me and have 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 people on their account, and they're not making single sales because they're literally just doing what I call surface level content, but what Rory has called here is like width content. When we're just going out and we're trying to appease the masses and we're just trying to play the algorithm game, and that needs to be quite surface level, and they're just not seeing that result to actual sales. They're getting seen, they're not getting loved and selling. Whereas I'll have people come to me with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 followers who are killing it because they understand depth. And there's no secrets here. I teach this at This Is Co. I show you how to get seen, loved, and selling on this podcast. It is really about making sure we are looking at that depth. Imagine that it is like that inverted triangle where we might be getting seen by a lot of people, but we need to move them through getting loved and selling. And then the other quote that I wanted to leave you in this section with the takeaway from social media marketing world was from Adley Kinsman. Now, she is actually someone who specializes in this scene content, right? So in this width content. So there's all kinds of people that talk at social media marketing well, which is why I absolutely love it. She is the most viewed female producer in Facebook and Snapchat history. And she gets 1 billion with a B views per month for, across her agency. And what she really said was something that resonated with me for Instagram mindset. So while I don't necessarily personally work with her strategy of just getting lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of visibility, what she said was absolutely still so true about we are in the greatest wave of free advertising the world has ever seen. Do not play small. And while reach might have dropped on Instagram and while engagement might have dropped, when in doubt, zoom out, right? And look 10, 20 years ago before these platforms existed and what business owners needed to do then to get seen, loved, and selling. And look at what we have the opportunity to do now. I saw an Instagram post the other day, which, I kind of could resonate with as well, where it said like every post you put up is essentially a lottery ticket. And I don't necessarily think that Instagram is just all about luck. So the lottery ticket thing was like, okay, I can see it. I think there's a bit more to it. But I actually agree with that as well, that like we have this platform where we can post, of course, with strategy. It's free, as Adley was saying. And we have the opportunity to actually build our success off that. And when we look at what Rory said, as long as we're doing that posting, as long as we're not playing small and we're playing with depth, we have every opportunity to succeed. So these are some of the main takeaways in terms of how people are approaching Instagram and things that I really wanted you to hear to remind you that a lot of people are finding it really hard right now. Things have changed. We need to adjust to our new normal. Our new normal does not mean give up. Our new normal means push forward. Do not play small, but also do not play surface level. Make sure you are using the platform to go deep. And if you want to go even deeper into this, head back to the other episode where I speak on Instagram engagement, which is episode 20, and dive deep with me about what is happening, but how buyers are still buying. We just need to keep using the correct strategy in front of every person that is seeing us. So I'm going to leave that there. Now I want to dive into some really cool data that came out of the conference. And one of the things that I love is that this can be like the most current, insightful, unpublished data that you could find, because a lot of this is like agency owners coming and sharing their data. And that's exactly what this was. There was a guy called, and I'm going to butcher his last name, and Jay, I'm so sorry, but Jay Schwedelson, and he is CEO of Outcome Media. They send 6 billion emails per year. Now, because they send 6 billion, again with a B, emails per year, they have a bucket load of data. And Jay was so insightful to share so much of this data with us. And we're talking data from the literal last 90 days of what is actually working right now. And we have email marketing best practices overall, but there are always these nuances. Think about it almost like trends on Instagram, right? That come and go. And when we jump on a trending audio, or we do this, or we do that, or we follow like a pop culture trend that's happening, we might get a small bit of uplift. Again, that's one scene strategy. We need to get loved and selling. But what Jay was essentially doing was coming to us with a scene type strategy for our emails. And he dove deep into subject lines, because here's the thing. If your subject line does not stop someone in their track and have them click with their thumb on their screen or click with their mouse on their computer and actually open the email, what you have in the email does not matter. You could have the best email in the world with a substandard subject line and it's just never going to perform. So he really dove deep into email. And if you're in the Content Mastery Club, I am going to share every part of this with you because there was just so much that Jay gave us. But on the podcast right now, I am going to give you some of the main ones that saw some of the biggest upload in Jay's research about exactly what you can be doing right now with your subject lines to get more open. So the very first thing was first word capitalization. So if you are writing an email, and I actually sent an email out yesterday or the day before, and if you're on my email list, go and check it. I wrote real talk in capitals at the start. And this is exactly what Rory was talking about. Now, again, if you're in my world, you'll know I capitalize a lot of stuff. So this is actually just like a fluke that I've been doing. This is actually part of my brand type of voice. And when I write emails to people, templates in the club or the Easy Email Marketing Collection, I do this too for you. However, Rory has backed this up with data. So if you're not doing this, please start doing this. Rory has shared that this increased open rates by 22% on what they would have been for B2C and for B2B 19%. So massive, massive chances to increase your current open rates by those extra percentages. Amazing. Now, the other one was to start your email with a number. So, he showed us a heap of examples. You might be doing this already. Again, these are things that we see, but sometimes we just haven't focused on enough recently. So this is a reminder to do this more. Start your emails with a number, like 4 top trends for blah. 3 things you need right now for X. Remembering that best practice tells us that emails that spark curiosity, pain points, desires, aspirations, things that people say like, this must be hyper specific for me. This is really what we want to be doing at the core. And then Jay is telling us that we can use these additional things to really spark more opens. Now, the other one is starting your emails with a bracket. So like in brackets, just in, close bracket, and then saying like the new blah you'll love or the new way to stop X or whatever that might be. So starting with brackets is increasing email open rates by B2C 17%, B2B 21%. And then he had a really great one, which was he's coined this phrase, which he said that his children just think is a bit lame, but FONF. So we obviously have the fear of missing out, FOMO, but he has coined one, FONF, which is fear of not first. And his agency is using this a lot at the moment, he was saying, and this is a massive one. This increases email open rates up to 35%. So what is fear of not first? It is essentially using some of that like anticipation, that hype, that, oh my gosh, something is here. Like essentially you don't want to miss out, but it's like they also want to get in as quick as possible. So it's not necessarily urgency and scarcity like something's closing. It's like, this is the newest thing you need right now. And so some of the things that he's been using or demonstrated for us was things like just announced, just dropped, just in, VIP preview, early access. Now, you do not need to. I think sometimes when we think of these terms, we think e-commerce maybe. And of course, if you're e-commerce, you can be using this. But something like just announced, social media marketing world insights now on the pod. Right? So you can see how I might write a subject line that is to do with me dropping this podcast in the future. I'm not saying that would be the email subject line, but you can see that something like just announced would work with that, or just dropped the podcast episode to make you more profit, or just in breaking news about blah, right? And you'll also know that if you've listened to the launch episode that I have shared on here, if you're in the Content Mastery Club or have any of my launch products, one of the things I always recommend that you do with a launch whenever you can is a VIP launch period. And this really brings in that same element of consumer psychology, this fear of not first. And it is a fantastic strategy to actually be using deeper in business. So yes, we can be using this fear of not first, as in just announced, just dropped, just in our email subject lines. But we can also be using these types of strategies as a whole in our business, building first in lists, building VIP lists, building, close friend strategies, all of those types of things. I think as a side note, what Jay was sharing, we're seeing in marketing overall can actually go further as well. And then one of the things he also shared was personalization in the subject line. Now, one of the things you might think of when you think personalization is like, Corinda, did you see this? Or Joe, are you struggling with blah? So often we can think of personalization as using someone's name, but as Jay, he put it way more poetically than me, that's old news. Everybody's doing that, right? So their agency has been testing different things, and he has recommended some different things of personalization to really think about other things that they might resonate with, other things that they might relate with. And so some examples of this. So you might use geography. So one example was like popular in Miami right now. And so someone's in Miami, right? And this doesn't work again for every business, but if you are selling clothing, selling summer clothing, right? And you can kind of personalize your emails depending on what your email provider is. It could be like popular for summer in Miami right now, popular in summer for blah right now. And so this is something people are like, oh, I'm in Miami. This is for me. It's really that this is for me. And again, don't get me wrong, all emails should have a this is for me type feeling to them because we are using pain points, desires, aspirations, curiosity, all of those types of things that actually resonate with our ideal client. However, this is a different type of this is for me you might not be using at the moment. On top of pain points, desires, aspirations, it's personalization. So it could be like life events. New homeowners need to know this. So instead of saying like, Corinda, you need to know this about your mortgage, and you know that your people identify themselves as new homeowners, it could be like new homeowners need to know this. And you can test that in like A/B testing against something like, Corinda, you need to know this about your mortgage, or like new homeowners need to know this right now. You know, that type of thing, be testing that. Another one was like, think about things like the spending habits they might have. Are they budget conscious? And so you might say, for the budget conscious, blah, 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 like the budget conscious wedding goer. And it might be like budget conscious wedding gifts or wedding outfits or, wedding stationery or wedding planning, right? So this is really the type of stuff you want to start to think about. What do your people refer to themselves as? Where are they? What are the situations they're facing? What are their like demographics that you could be calling out? Like, grandparents need to hear this, that type of thing. Can you be using that? And so the real takeaway from this, there was so much data. Again, I cannot go into it all, but this is really, I've cherry picked some amazing stuff out of this for you. The takeaway here is like, you just need to spend more time on your subject line. This is coming again from someone who sends 6 billion emails every year. You need to be focused on subject lines. We're likely not focusing on them enough. So there was also a tool that Jay gave, which is awesome. So subjectline.com. How easy is that to remember? You can head there and you can actually run your subject line through that. Of course, you can also get like ChatGPT to analyze it and all of those types of things, but it will actually spit you out some examples, some strategies, some suggestions to make your subject line better as well. So again, subjectline, all one word.com. Head over there and you can be testing your subject lines. So the next thing that I really, 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 really want to talk about from this conference was one of the biggest things that come up over and over again. So there was a lot about Instagram. There was a lot of like micro strategies like we've spoken about with Jay, but there was a really big macro strategy in there as well about marketing as a whole and what is going to really create the strongest brands, the strongest businesses, and the most profit for the foreseeable future, at least from like 6 months ago, 3 months ago. We're already starting to see this and we expect it to just amplify through the roof in the future. And that is your personal brand. And bear with me, because when I say personal brand, I know that sometimes our heads can instantly go to that like stereotypical influencer type approach to marketing where you think there is no way I am doing that, Corinda. I am not vlogging my morning routine and doing this and doing that. Now, you can do those things if you want as a personal brand in a business. There is nothing wrong with that. That might be a beautiful strategy, but it doesn't have to mean that. What we're talking about when we're talking about having a personal brand in business is adding this extra layer of depth to your business's persuasiveness, connection, point of difference, where you have a brand, you have a business, your business does things, it stands for things, it has value, it has a voice. But here's the thing, it's run by a person, and people in this day and age know that, and they want access and insights to the person running it. And Pat Flynn said this really well, where it's not about being an influencer, it's about being a key person of influence. And what I took away from that is that we have this business brand and we get to be a key person of influence influencing people as to why they want to work with our business. So we get to use our own voice, our own vibes, our own personality, our own beliefs, our own experiences, our own setbacks, our own triumphs, our own just daily little elements that are different to other people's to build more trust in an age of artificial intelligence where people are looking more and more to actual genuine connection. We get to have a point of difference because we are completely unique. So is our lives, our makeup, and we're going to go into that. And we also get to actually create human to human connection, which has been proven. Emotional connection has actually been proven to increase sales, increase loyalty, increase word of mouth. And we're going to go into some data around this. So let's dive into what was covered at the conference that I really, really, really want you to take away. So Rory Vaden, we spoke about him before. He was talking about the depth of content instead of the width of content. And this also came off the back of the fact that if you build a personal brand where people are more connected with you, you have that depth, as I call it, you're getting loved, right? Your sales are actually easier in the long run. So that's why he was talking about that too many people are chasing width and not depth. And he's talking about being able to create that depth by using your personal brand as well. And we know that personal brands are one of the trust factors in our business, particularly in this age of AI. We've been able to create trust in different ways in the past, but right now we are seeing a direct correlation between personal brands mean that businesses have more trust. And this is the thing. These are the numbers he was sharing with us. So this was a study into America, but obviously we have an international audience. Hi from Australia. I have studied this for many, many years as well. There's many reports like the Edelman report, for example, that goes into trust deeper. And I can correlate what Rory was sharing with this international data and international studies as well. But I'll give you exactly what he gave us from this American study. And that was that almost 3/4 of Americans are more likely to trust someone who has an established personal brand. Now, for those of you who have listened to the podcast and you would have heard the podcast episode on people not trusting brands and how we can change that, I went a lot into trust in there. But we know that trust from that episode where I shared is one of the top 5 buying decisions that people have with your brand. So here's the thing, right? You want more trust? Build a personal brand in your business. We know that that is going to directly correlate to more sales. And here's the other thing. 2/3 of those Americans would be willing to spend more on products and services from a company whose founder or personal brand aligns with their personal values. And here's the thing, right? You've got to let people know what you stand for. And I'm absolutely not necessarily talking about sharing politics, deep-rooted beliefs, religion, sexuality, like any of those things online if you do not feel comfortable with. But people want to know what you stand for within your niche. If you are a fitness coach, what do you stand for? Do you believe in this method, that method? Do you believe in grinding it out? Do you believe in, sustainability? Do you believe in marathon, not a sprint? Do you believe in this? Do you believe in what society says about that? You have beliefs as a person, as an authentic person right now. I could ask you a question person to person and you say like, oh no, I don't believe in that. I don't train my clients like that. Share that. So often you might be already trying to share that through, for example, content, like 5 ways to do blah. And the 5 ways to do blah might align with your beliefs. But what we're actually seeing is people want to see you take that stand and say, I don't believe in blah because of this. And you can go deeper and say, and here's my story why. As a young mom, as a father to blah, as a busy blah, as a person who used to do this, I find that this does not work. And this is why when I'm working with clients, I don't do that. Of course, if you want to get out there and talk about those deeper beliefs that we can, we also see an alignment with people doing those types of things. If you want to share what your religion is online, there's a lot of people that do that very successfully. Can it be polarizing? Yes, but that's the point. Because when you repel people, well, your true, authentic beliefs, right, may mean that those weren't the right people for you to work with. Maybe there would have been a clash or a misalignment there potentially. And I'm not just talking about religion, I'm talking about any type of value here. But on the other side of that, you will magnetize people who do share those same beliefs and values. So there's a real spectrum here of you getting to show more of you, your beliefs in relation to your niche online. Like, I'm not asking you to tell me your childhood trauma as a personal trainer, should that have nothing to do with your brand, or it does have something to do with your brand and you don't want to share it. But what I am asking you to do is think of the things that you may be comfortable that already actually underpin what you're doing, who you are, why you operate in the way you do. If you're an e-commerce business, why you sell what you do, what drove you there, what kind of packaging do you use, for example. We spoke about this in the trust episode. Why did you do that? Why is this color? Why is that color? Why do you have this pricing model? Like, what is it that led you to these decisions? These are your beliefs, your values, your lived experiences, your wants, your desires for different reasons. Share that stuff. And Rory again put it really well. Do not just differentiate yourself on what you do, differentiate yourself on who you are. So I'm a fitness trainer and I only train HIIT training. That's what you do. Sure, that's different. But why do you do that? Because I am a high energy individual and I believe high energy individuals need to get that out, or I go a little bit loopy and this happens. And so I've created this approach for people like me. And you can start to see there how we have that personal brand, like, oh, Corinne is a high energy individual. I'm a high energy individual. You were already trying to attract those people. You wanted them to do HIIT training, but now they can have that personal connection with you. Show them you being a high energy individual, right? This is like the deeper layer of that. Start to, if you want to, record a day in your life as a high energy individual. Again, someone has now connected with you and they're like, I want to train with you. I see myself in you. I'm connected to you. This isn't something ChatGPT generated. This is real humanity that you're being vulnerable. You're sharing with me. You're connecting with me. You're transparent. You're open. And wow, you have also these great services or offers. And Rory also said that the divine design of you as an individual is already distinct. You know, when we create a brand, a lot of the time we're like going out and trying to find our fonts and our brand colors and all of those types of things, right? You already are a living, breathing, walking, talking brand that you do not need to design. You just need to communicate, right? And so if you're in the Content Mastery Club, last week I dropped another training to go deeper on this. But for those in the This Is Code world in general, I want to remind you, for example, if you're using my content strategy, now this should be going absolutely everywhere. Your personal brand is everywhere. It's in your story. It's in your emails. It's on your podcast. It's in your trainings. It's in your interaction. It's on your website, right? Like, we can start to put these things everywhere. But where I want you to start trying to put these in, if you need structure like I do, which FYI was one of the things spoken about at the conference, Adley said that success isn't about more effort. Success is about more structure. And I wholeheartedly believe that. We've got to stop throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it sticks. So if you're using my content structure where we engage and entertain, we educate, inspire, activate, we tell stories that connect, we show behind the scenes and about the business, and we show off and sell. In stories that connect and in about the business, I really want you to start asking yourself how you can show up more in your personal brand in those to start with. Start also sharing on stories if you want a bit more of a safer, lower key, expiring place to start testing some more stuff out. Should you want to do that, you can move things to emails where you start to explain things, any of your other channels, but you really want to start putting this everywhere. And Pat Flynn also went into this. Now, I'm a massive fan of Pat Flynn, which is ironic because the way I became a fan of Pat was reading his book called Superfans. And he has a 15-year experience building these thriving personal brands that generate loyal followings. And look, I'm his loyal follower, and he's since gone into personal ventures where he uses everything he teaches and preaches, which I think is so important to prove that this is working. And, you know, if anyone knows Pat, he's created this incredible Pokemon channel on YouTube called Deep Pocket Monster. It's got 1.5 million subscribers with 290 million views. He started that, I believe, in 2021. He's now started another channel called Short Pocket Monster on YouTube. 1.4 million subscribers, 2.1 billion, another one with a B, billion views since June 2024. He really knows his stuff. And I want to give you one of his quotes as well, which was that if you can move people, you can move people. And so in business, we're always talking about moving people forward to take action, moving people through this seen, loved, selling customer journey with you. And what he is saying is if you can move people, if you can make this personal connection, this emotional connection, this connection to their humanity, you can move them deeper to the outcomes that you are hoping to achieve, whether it is a follower, whether it is a super fan, whether it is a purchase. The key is in emotional connection, and this is happening more and more and more and becoming more and more important every single day in this age of AI. So personal branding was absolutely everywhere throughout the conference. And if you take one thing away from today's episode, it is that if you want to truly stand out and succeed with more ease over the next at least 12 months and beyond, personal brand is needing to be a large focus in your business of any kind. E-commerce, I know that people in e-commerce like to start saying like, I'm an e-commerce business. I don't need to be. I'm not the one providing a service or knowledge. Here's the thing. We're seeing this more and more and more and more and more and more with e-commerce brands. And if you do not start doing this, you risk falling behind in that as well. Some of my favorite e-commerce brands, I know who the founder is. I've introduced their employees. I know who's packing my stuff. I know why they started the brand. I know the origin story. I watch them do things behind the scenes in the business every day. I know who I'm buying from. And you can bet when I go to decide what gym shirt do I want today, I'm going to brands where when they're both selling a very similar thing and I like both outfits, I'm being more drawn towards the one that I know things about. And this is what we're seeing everywhere. So this is for absolutely everyone. And I'm going to leave you with two final things. So one of them was really interesting. While social media marketing world is about marketing, I had the absolute honor of going to Molly Pittman's session. Now, Molly is someone that I greatly admire. She has an animal rescue. She's an incredible human. They do incredible stuff for the world. She focuses on people and profit at the same time. Like everything just resonates with me. If you know me, you know that's what I am about as well. And she also is an absolute powerhouse, and she manages $650 million in Meta ad spending annually. This woman knows her stuff when it comes to a lot of stuff, but particularly Meta ads. And I took a whole pile of stuff away from her Meta ads training and, the conference in general, and I'll share more of that another time. But one of the things that Molly actually dove into was the offers that she sees working right now, because here's the thing. If you're going to be running ads, we want to be running it to some kind of offer, right? Like that's essentially what we're doing at the end of the day. And Molly dove into what types of offers that overall she sees really kicking butt right now, which I thought was a really awesome insight I didn't expect to get from social media marketing world. And here's the other thing is that I didn't think it was going to be something that I was already harping on to you about every single day, but it was, and that is low ticket offers, or as she called them, low dollar offers. So same thing, different name. And Molly's exact quote was, every single business, including local businesses, can implement a low dollar offer. Meta loves it, and it's one of the best ways to acquire customers. And so if you've never heard me talk about low ticket offers, head back and listen to episode 1, where I give you my strategy on this. Molly went even deeper. While I specialize in online businesses and knowledge-based businesses, Molly was even talking about some of the low dollar offers, in her words, that she's been running ads to for companies like a shaver shop, where you can get 10 of this for $10, right? And then this acquires the customer. And even if you are thinking of doing like a physical low ticket offer instead of a digital low ticket offer, go and listen to episode 1 because it explains how this brings people into the customer journey as a customer, increases trust, increases exposure, shows why you're the one from them, removes objections. This is what our low ticket, low dollar offers do. And I loved that Molly was bringing more awareness to this around every single business, including local businesses, can implement a low dollar offer. And she was saying that it is just one of the best strategies that she is seeing at the moment in terms of offers for all of the reasons I cover in episode 1. So go and listen to that. Now, finally, I'm going to leave you on a mindset note. Talking about Pat Flynn, I had the honor of getting to ask Pat a question. I actually had to win a little quiz at the end of his speech. And because I won that, I was able to ask him something. Now, the audio is not very good on this, but I wanted you to hear this straight from him. So I was able to ask Pat. He shares his strategies with us on personal branding. He shares his success with Deep Pocket Monster. He shares the incredible things that he does in the world. But I wanted to know what his mindset is to get him to the creator he is today, where he can put these types of things out in the world. And this is what he said.
So I used to struggle a lot with imposter syndrome. But I think, especially now, especially on the Shorts channel, if you think about that, I have a lot of friends who are trying to get into it too, and they're so disappointed that the views aren't there, right? And it just locks them down. Here's the mindset shift. Count uploads, not likes. Count uploads, not likes. Give yourself 60 days, go daily 60 days in a row. If you get there, you've won, no matter what. And chances are, with 1 or 2 of those videos, you'll find your voice, your rhythm, it'll pop. Count uploads, not likes. I love that. Yeah.
So in case you didn't catch that, he said to count uploads, not likes. Now, a little bit of context for this session, he was diving deep into how he has used his like super fans method personal branding on Deep Pocket Monster and Short Pocket Monster. So he's specifically talking about YouTube here. So when you hear him say count uploads, not likes, what he is really saying there is stop focusing on the outcome of the content that you're putting out there and start focusing on actually putting it out and making that your goal. Because he says in there, if you plan to post for 60 days and you plan to put something out there, and of course, like if that's not sustainable for you, maybe it's every second day, every third day for 60 days or 3 months or whatever it looks like for you. He is essentially saying, make the plan to do the work. Make the plan to stay consistent and make that what you are measuring yourself on. Because he shares when you do this, you've already won. He says in that statement, as you might have heard, plan to post for 60 days and actually do this, you've already won. And chances are 1 or 2 of these videos are actually going to see success. But you're also going to learn so much from that and start to overcome, the imposter syndrome that he'd experienced in the past, or also that deflating feeling when we are actually focused on the likes, the views, the reach, instead of actually just crafting our process and putting the content out there and giving it a go. You can overcome that by focusing on and counting uploads and not likes. So there you have it. That is the recap from Social Media Marketing World 2025. I already cannot wait to bring you the insights from 2026. I've already bought my ticket. I absolutely love this conference, but I will also continue infusing everything I do with the wisdom of the incredible peers that I got to witness at Social Media Marketing World. So there's a lot more to come, infusing their magic with my magic to help you make magic in your business. That's all from me. I will catch you on the next episode of Seen, Loved, Selling, Scale. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Seen, Loved, Selling, Scale podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired, fired up, and empowered to make serious moves that align with your goals and version of success, both in life and business. If you loved what you heard, head over to www.thisisco.com.au to find all the links and resources mentioned in today's episode. And if you aren't already following the show, make sure you hit that follow button so you never miss a future episode when it drops. I'll see you again next week, same time, same place, same goal to get you seen, loved, selling, and scaling. See you then.